Hi guys, welcome back to the next episode of the Director's Chair. Today we're looking at the creative world of James Cameron. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the next episode of Director's Chair. I've done David Lynch and then I've done Tim Burton. So today we're talking about James Cameron. Now James Cameron is a Canadian filmmaker and he's considered one of India's most innovative filmmakers, and he's pushing the boundaries of cinematic capability with his use of novel technologies. And he's currently 68 years old. And so let's get into um, James Cameron. So let's get into it. So it all started in 1982. Well he did a short film called Xenogenesis, which was a short film he did back in 1978. But it all started in 1982 when he did Piranha 2: The Spawning. Now this is a sequel to the 1978 film Piranha, which was technically kind of like trying. It was banking off the success of Jaws. This was his first movie, and yeah. Um, I don't know how much it made. So so it received negative reviews upon release and was a box office bomb, but it's enjoyed later success as a cult film by fans of James Cameron. So I think it's an okay movie. Like, it's not my favorite James Cameron movie. I think his later films are just so much better, but it's a good start. Yeah. So in 1984, he released The Terminator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton, and Paul Winfield, and it made 78.3 million on a $6.4 million budget, so it was a success. Um, is credited with launching Cameron's film career and solidifying Schwarzenegger's status as a leading man. The film's success led to a franchise, which so yeah, you've probably seen all the other five Terminator sequels, but this one I still think the first one is probably the best one. I do enjoy T2, but this one isn't. This one's just a classic. I just love this movie, and yeah, it's a really good science fiction action film. And yeah, Andrew, you probably know the story with Terminator, so I'm not going to get into it. So yes, Terminator, great movie. And then so in 1986 he put out Aliens. Now this is a sequel to the 1979 movie Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, and it stars Sigourney Weaver, um, Michael Biehn, Paul Reiser, Lance Henriksen, and this movie, I enjoy this movie. For what it is, I like it. Um, I like how this was a science fiction. I like how this one was more like a science fiction movie compared to the first one was pretty much like a horror movie. But I like both movies. It made 1.31 to 183.3 million on an $18.5 million budget, and because I actually like this more than don't get me wrong, I like the first one with Ridley Scott. I think Ridley Scott did a good job with that first movie, but I just enjoy this one more. I think this one's more entertaining. Reviews praised action, but some criticized the intensity of some scenes. The movie's performance got consistent praise, along with those of Bill Paxton and Jeanette Goldstein, and so yeah, um, so yeah, it is it. Aliens is now considered among the greatest films of the 1980s and among the best science fiction action and sequel films ever made. Equally, arguably equal to or better than Alien, is credited with expanding the franchise scope with additions to the series' backstory and factions such as the Color, Colonial Marines. And yeah, it was followed by two sequels. Neither of them were directed by James Cameron, but yeah, this was a good. I just love this movie, and yeah, so 1989 we had The Abyss. Now um, this was a science fiction film, and this starred Ed Harris, Mary Elizabeth Mastrotonia, and Michael Biehn. And this movie was And this movie was good. It made 90 million on a 47 million dollar budget. It received positive reviews. I think this one is really underrated. I think when people think of James Cameron, they never really talk about this movie. I enjoy this movie. It's probably one of my favorite James Cameron movies. So it's The Abyss, and yeah. So um, then in 1991, he put out Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Now this was a sequel to the 1984 movie. Terminator. It was starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Robert Patrick, and Edward Furlong, and it made 519 to 520.9 million on a 94 to $102 million budget, and making it the highest grossing film of 1991 worldwide and the third highest grossing film of its time. Critics praised the visual effects, action sequences, and cast, especially Patrick's performance as the T-1000 as a great cinematic villain, while criticism was directed towards the film's violence. Terminator 2 is considered one of the best films ever made, and one of the best science fiction, action, and sequel films, as well as equal to or better than the Terminator. It is also seen as one of the most influential visual effects films of all time, beginning the transition from practical effects to reliance on computer animation. Although Cameron intended for Terminator 2 to end the franchise, it was followed by a series of sequels, which you probably know the sequels. So yeah, Terminator. I love this movie. I like the first one more, but this one is just as good. These two are good. Like, I like Salvation, but the rest are just kind of, it goes downhill. But this one is I highly recommend you check this one out. This is a really good movie. Then in 1994 we had True Lies, and this starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Arnold, Bill Paxton, Art Malik, and Tia Carrere, and it made 378.9 million on a $100 to $120 million budget. It received mostly positive reviews from critics, and yeah, I actually like this. I actually enjoy this movie. I really think it's good. I wish they would do a sequel to this, but I don't see it. I don't know if we're gonna get a sequel. Now there was a TV show that came out in 2023. It aired on CBS. I haven't seen the TV show, so I don't know if it's good or not. I think I saw the first episode. It was on Disney Plus. I saw it, and yeah, so that's True Lies. Now, 1997, we had Titanic. Now, Titanic. This is obviously based on the Titanic ship. It's an epic romance and disaster film. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, Billy Zane, Kathy Bates, Francis Fisher, Bernard Hill, Jonathan Hyde, Danny Nucci, David Warner, and Bill Paxton. And yeah, so this made 2.257 billion on a $200 million budget, and Titanic achieved significant critical and commercial success, and then received numerous accolades. It was praised for its visual effects, performances, particularly DiCaprio and Winslet and Stewart, production values, Cameron's direction, musical score, cinematography, story, and emotional depth. With an initial worldwide box gross of over 1.84 billion, Titanic was the first film to reach the $1 billion mark. It remained the highest grossing film of all time until Cameron's next film, Avatar, surpassed in 2010. A number of re-releases since 1997 have pushed the film's worldwide total to 2.257 billion, making it the second film to gross more than 2 billion after Avatar. And yeah, it made 2 billion. I think it was the first film to make 2 billion. So yeah, Titanic, great film. Leonardo DiCaprio is good in this movie, and Kate Winslet. I just love this movie. It's one of the best James Cameron movies. And then in 2009 we had Avatar. Now this is an epic science fiction film, and this starred Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, Michelle Rodriguez, and Sigourney Weaver. And it made 2.923 billion on $237 million budget. Critics highly praised its groundbreaking visual effects, though the story was considered to be predictable. During its theatrical run, the film broke several box office records, including becoming the highest grossing film of all time since January 2010. In July 2019, this position was overtaken by Avengers Endgame, but with subsequent re-releases beginning with China in March 2021, it returned to become the highest grossing film since then. Adjusted for inflation, Avatar is the second highest grossing film of all time, only behind Gone with the Wind, with a total of a little more than 3.5 billion. And it also became the first film to gross more than 2 billion. And yeah, so this started a whole franchise. And actually, like, I mean, Avatar 1, I think it's okay. I saw it one time. I'm not a huge fan of it. So yeah, and then 2022 we had Avatar: The Way of Water. Now this is the sequel to Avatar, directed by James Cameron. This is an epic science fiction film, and yeah, so it made 2.319 billion. I think it's still in cinemas. I think it's still making money. Stars Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, Joel David Moore, Cece H. Pounder, Giovanni Ribs Izzy, Dilip Rayo, and Matt Gerald reprising their roles. And you have Sigourney Weaver as an additional role, while Kate Winslet joined the cast. And yeah, so the film received positive reviews from critics who praised the visual effects and technical achievements, but criticized the plot and lengthy runtime. The film was a major box office success, breaking multiple records and grossing 2.319 billion worldwide, making it the highest grossing film of 2022, the highest grossing film of the COVID-19 pandemic era, and the third highest grossing film of all time. So yeah. As of this movie, James Cameron is the only director to make 3 movies that have made 2 billion, and that is Avatar, The Way of Water, and Titanic. And yeah, mind you, there's only 6 movies that's made 2 billion. And yeah, so we have 3 more Avatar movies. We have Avatar 3 in 2024, Avatar 4 in 2026, and then we have Avatar 5 in 2028. So I wasn't a huge fan of Avatar. I'm looking forward to Avatar 3, 4, and 5. I think they might be good after I saw Way of Water. And that's pretty much it. That's James Cameron. I think he's probably one of the most best directors out there. One of the best directors. And he's a good director and he's a good producer. I like what he did with Alita. And yeah, I love James Cameron. I love his movies. Like, I don't think there's a bad James Cameron movie. They're all good. Even Piranha 2, even though I don't like it, I still think it's okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it with James Cameron. So guys, don't watch my video. I'll see my next one. Bye.